Hi there, everybody. Hello, friends. My name is Peter. Some of you may recognize me from my YouTube series Retro Unscripted. Hello, you guys. Others may recognize me from Twitter, Facebook, or Google+. Hello to you. And lastly, some of you may recognize my name from written articles and reviews over the last dozen or so years, both video game reviews and also video game sales analysis pieces. Hello to you guys as well. The reason I'm on the webcam today and the reason that I'm making this video is to react to the E3 press conferences that I saw and or read about. Those being Microsoft, Sony, Electronic Arts, and Nintendo. If I was to put my analyst hat on, I would say that Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo each did a great job, and there were no losers here. There were only winners. Microsoft with its focus on games. Sony got people talking during and after its conference, and Nintendo proved that you don't have to be live on stage to deliver one hell of a show and get people interested. So, as an analyst, I would be able to find plenty of good things to talk about with all three companies. But I'm not an analyst anymore. I'm retired. So I'm here on video basically just to give my own opinions and of how each press conference affected me, how I viewed each. First of all, the Microsoft conference. Microsoft was in a bit of trouble last year at around this time. And it wasn't necessarily because the press conference was bad, but because the message was bad. The high price, the concern about having to be always online, just these perceived anti-consumer or not really for the consumer policies that really got people disinterested in Microsoft, those are gone. Microsoft seems more interested than ever in its fans' feedback and public feedback, and it really focused on games this year. A lot of games were good to impressive. Sunset Overdrive is the first game that's been shown for the Xbox One that actually had me kind of interested in buying one, although I won't. And I thought it was a good show overall. I didn't think it really stuttered. I really don't think that there was anything extraneous. I wish there was a little more gameplay to be seen, but that was pretty much the theme throughout the press conferences this year. So I really can't knock Microsoft on that. Sony's press conference I did not watch. Microsoft's and EA's press conferences were televised, so I could actually watch those in real time. Sony's press conference I did not see. I'm only reacting to news stories that I read, and unfortunately none of the news stories really reached out and grabbed me and made me want to buy a PlayStation 4. While I understand the excitement that a lot of fans have for some of the games that were announced, again, talking about it from an individual, personal level, there was just nothing there that really did it for me. And that's unfortunate, but there's always next year for Sony in that department. So it's kind of weird for me to tell you that for me, and not general, not for everybody, but for me, Nintendo stole the show. Nintendo won E3 for me. And why did I say that? Because for the first time since I first saw the Wii U at E3 in 2011, I now want to buy one. And that's a big step. Prior to this event, I had this laundry list of reasons why I wasn't going to buy a Wii U. There weren't enough games. The digital account system is bad, and it still is, and I'll talk about that in a minute. There aren't enough games, again, or there aren't enough third-party games. Again, that's still true, but I'll get to that in a second. I came up with reasons why I shouldn't buy one. But today's digital event changed my mind. All of a sudden, there were games that I wanted. There were games that I had to have. The Smash Brothers presentation just drew me in. And granted, it's happened every other time a Smash Brothers game has been introduced. Oh, it's a Smash Brothers game, I have to have it. Why? Look behind me. A bunch of NES games, because the NES is my favorite console of all time. And when you have all of these Nintendo characters in one game, even if they are beating the piss out of each other, it's still really cool just to have that piece of history in your hand and be able to kind of use all of these characters and relive that bit of history. So Smash Brothers drew me in. The new Yoshi game drew me in because it looks like the sequel to Yoshi's Island that I want to play. The new Zelda looks just absolutely fantastic. Hopefully the final game comes even close to what these first screens look like. I'll be blown away, and I'm not a Zelda fan at all. Hyrule Warriors, however, because I am a Dynasty Warriors fan, is something that I know that I want to play. This new multiplayer shooter that Nintendo's coming out with, where there's no violence in the game and it's all ink, is brilliant. It completely flies in the face of the violent themes that this year's E3 press events kind of thrust in your face. It's all very lighthearted and enjoyable and likable, and it looks great. The new Star Fox game I'm very interested in. The new Kirby I'm kind of interested in. There were just so many reasons for me to kind of stack against the reasons that I wasn't going to buy that they almost cancel each other out. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, they do. I can only be mad about the lack of a digital account system for so long. I just won't buy digital. I can still buy a Wii U and enjoy the games that come on physical discs. Yeah, it kind of sucks. That means that I won't be able to play NES Remix, or that I won't be able to play any of their Virtual Console games because Nintendo's not going to fix this. But that shouldn't preclude me from buying the system, and now I have more reasons to buy it. I mean, sure, there aren't going to be a lot of third-party games, almost none. Sure, there aren't going to be very many sports games, although the whole Wii Sports set, the Wii Sports Club thing, looks to kind of take care of that. More Wii bowling is never a bad thing. So, I mean, I've got more reasons for than against now. And yeah, I'm hoping that by year's end, I'm going to try and squirrel away as much money as I can, and maybe I'm going to trade away some of the last-gen stuff that I have. And hopefully by year's end, I'll be playing Wii U just like everybody else. And it's because of this conference. You guys don't, I mean, I don't think I can emphasize this enough. Before this digital event, I didn't care. I wasn't going to buy one. I didn't want one. And now after this event, because of the games that were shown, because of the presentation, I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. And yeah, I'm going to get a Wii U, despite the flaws, despite the problems, despite the lack of an achievement system, which still grates on my mind. I still want one. And that's the biggest victory, the biggest compliment that you can pay to any company who puts on one of these events. If you are convinced at the end of the event that you have to have an Xbox One, a PlayStation 4, or a Wii U, then that company has done its job. And Nintendo has done its job here, at least as far as I'm concerned, because I'm in. It's going to take a little while because I'm not working, and I'm going to have to kind of do some odd jobs and stuff to put the money aside. But yeah, I mean, I want to have a Wii U. I want to play the games on it, and that's a big deal to me. One last note on the EA press conferences before I go here. The EA press conference. It started out well. Excited for Star Wars Battlefront 4, whatever it is. A little disappointed that you have to wait until spring of 2015 to just get more information. That's not when the game's coming. That's when we're actually going to find out more about the game. So that was a little bit of a tease. And I did like the BioWare section, especially the Dragon Age presentation. That was pretty gripping for me, especially the... and I know you don't buy games for soundtracks, but boy, Dragon Age sounded really good. That music sounded great. But when we got to the sports games, which EA usually hits it out of the park with, I didn't care. With the exception of NHL 15, which kind of went without saying for a variety of reasons. UFC, I didn't care about before, and I don't care about it now, Bruce Lee or not. The only thing I thought about when I saw Bruce Lee is who put martial law in this game. And I know that's sacrilege for those of you Bruce Lee fans, but sorry. Madden 15 didn't show me anything that I knew that I had to have or wanted to have. There was no NBA Live to be seen. PGA Tour just looks like a step back. The graphics don't look as good. Where's Augusta National? Is it coming back at all? And why am I going to play golf and hit a 300-yard drive over a battleship? That makes no sense. I'm just, the sports games I'm not as confident in. And I guess maybe that collapse, that kind of lackadaisical attitude towards this crop of sports games helps to make the Wii U a better decision, because I know that I'm not missing anything if I decided I was going to buy an Xbox One or a PS4 instead. And the last thing, also the Battlefield Hardline demo, man, so wow. I mean, so many bullets. It looks like war. I mean, if it's gonna involve cops and stuff, that's a really great change. And it's certainly different from the war setting, but I don't know any place that looks like that. It's just, I know it's supposed to be over the top, but just make another war game. That's what I would have done. And the last thing about the EA conference before I go, whoever it was that was screaming, and I guess this goes for anybody that attends any of these live press conferences, it's a press event. It is not a rock concert. If you're going to do nothing but wail and scream for the body of the event, don't go. You not only bother everybody who's watching, but you embarrass the company as a whole. I know you think you're doing the company a service by rooting for them and being all rah-rah, but you do enough of that by just the gentle applause in between each presentation. I thought that was so low class and so needless and pointless. And I don't think that this person who was doing any of this screaming was swayed or that they're a shill or anything like that. But it ruins the whole experience. And it's one of the reasons why I actually prefer Nintendo's pre-recorded, pre-produced event, which doesn't have any of this stuff and proceeds along smoothly without stops, than I do the Sony or Microsoft or EA press conferences that are all herky-jerky and have stops and starts and all room for applause and screaming and all that. It really doesn't need to have a place. But that's just someone who's been to some of these events and thinks of them a little bit differently, a little bit more professionally. Anyway, that's my look at the EA press conferences. As you can see, if you haven't seen Retro Unscripted before, I don't go with a script, so there's a lot of hand waving and there's some stumbling over my words. I hope you didn't mind. There'll be more videos on this channel in the future, as I'm going to be consolidating Retro Unscripted and my personal YouTube channel into one. And you'll see. I'll be sharing some information and some stuff about that later. For now, enjoy the rest of E3 week. Again, thanks very much to all of my friends and followers for watching. And until the next time, take care.